All right, we start the 5,500-pound super stock here, class number 3, but a story has developed. We had run 8 vehicles in the first round of competition when suddenly the decision-maker sled broke what we thought was a rear axle, Mike Snyder, but now we've come to learn that it was the rear end of the sled that has completely junked out. Thus, the 8 tractors have to come back to the starting line. We've brought up the other sled, Dave Hager's Old Ironside out of King City, Missouri, and we must restart the entire class here in the 5,500-pound super stock. We rejoin the action here this afternoon's session. Here's Roger Butts out of Nappanee, Indiana with his John Deere. And this is not a diesel tractor, Mike.
No, it isn't, Dave. This John Deere runs on alcohol, and it's real competitive in this class. Roger's run this tractor for quite a few years. Looks like he might have a little problem there getting off the starting line, but normally that's a real competitive tractor.
Great sled setting tonight. The modifying class 1 out, the truck class 2 out. Great sled setting. Here comes up, 226.
All right, here we go. This is his second attempt. He's bouncing and wheezing and having a lot of problems down there in the line. You can see he just isn't getting very far at all. Roger Butts out of Nappanee, Indiana. You can see he's just past the 75-foot mark, and now it conks out on him with his John Deere alcohol burner, 87.10. That's the official run as he passes the 75-foot mark. All right, now we come back to John Predovic out of Springfield, Tennessee, with a Ford 7910, sort of an unusual number on this Ford tractor. Don't see a lot of Fords anymore, Mike, but the ones we've seen in the past can really fly.
Boy, I'll say some of the strongest super stalkers that have ever run have been Fords, Dave.
Look at this. A good run going for John Predovic out of Springfield, Tennessee. Gets over to the right-hand side of the track, and he's going to record a distance of 200.7 feet. All right, here's Dwayne McKillop now out of Wabash, Indiana with an AC 180. If you're watching this tape for the first time and could not be at Indy Super Pull 14 for Session 2, we'll bring you up on the story. The sled broke the decision maker. After we had run 8 vehicles in the class here in the first round, we had to bring up Dave Hager's Old Ironside and completely restart the class, and we're underway here once again. Dwayne McKillop out of Wabash, Indiana with the AC 180. The distance to beat now, 200.7 feet. A 180 tractor might be very popular here in the 5,000-pound super stock class.
Yes, they are, Dave. They have a 301 cubic inch Alice Chalmers diesel in them, but this the 180 is a lot heavier, or a lot lighter, a lot easier to get down in the 5 super stock class rather than, I'll say, like a 190 XT, which has the same engine but a heavier chassis.
Very close to going out of bounds. He keeps it in bind by about 8 inches as Warren Power goes over and takes a look, one of the TNT officials here at Super Pull 14, and his distance here this afternoon, 222.1. He takes the lead. Here's Tom Urmson coming off the line, tires flying. He's won this class before. Tommy Urmson out of Bakerstown, Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh, an engineer over there. He knows how to make this International 460 run. He's looking at a good pull. His tires are burning right at the end. Boy, they stop quick. 212.9. Going to come up short, though. All right, we want to take you back in the tape a little bit because a guy that was unable to come back for the second go-around after the sled broke was John Parker out of Castalia, Ohio with his Oliver 1650. And we're going to replay the run now, and you'll see some problems that he had. Here's the green flag from J.J. Blum. Mike, this is an Oliver 1650, the only one of the class.
That's right, Dave, and an Oliver 1650 is a pretty good-sized tractor to have clear down in the 5,000-pound class. And he gets a real good bite out of the hole. The tractor jumps to the left a little bit and then starts bucking, and when it drops the front end one time, it appears the tie rod broke and messed up his steering. But it takes a lot of work to get one of these big tractors down in a lightweight class, and even though you have a lot of horsepower, a lot of times you don't have enough front end weight to be able to control the vehicle, and that's more or less what happened.
All right. Do you think that something else happened in the rear end of the tractor to allow the front end to come down and then break the front end?
That may very well have happened. He was on the brakes pretty hard trying to bring it back, and something in the transmission or rear end may have let go, causing the front end to drop that hard.
Well, a tough break. He was unable to come back for the second go-around. All righty, here we go now. Danny Brown out of Auburn, Indiana, home of the very famous old-fashioned cars they have up there, Mike, in northeastern part of the Hoosier State. Here's an International 666, very popular tractor we've seen over the years in the 5,000 and 7,000 pound classes.
Yes, it is, Dave. It's possible to get a tremendous amount of horsepower out of these 666 Internationals, and it's a lightweight tractor. You can get down in this class and still has some front end weight to play with, which is very important.
All right, this lightweight tractor now moving the sled from one side of the track to the other. That's really going to cut down his distance, and the distance for Danny Brown, 200.6 feet. Here's Jim Acton now out of Lynn, Indiana, a very professional driver in the 5,000 and 7,000 pound classes. He zips up his driver's suit, which is now a mandatory requirement in NTPA competition. You see the guys in the smoke machine jumping down after they just hooked up the smoke tube. He's got his work cut out for him, but here's a guy that could do it, Mike. He's been up and down tracks all across the country and throughout the Midwest many, many times.
Yeah, he sure has, Dave. Jim's been around a long time. He's a fine gentleman, and I can recall one time at a pull down in North Carolina where just after he left the starting line, the tractor pulled a big wheelie, and when it came down, it broke completely in half right at the clutch housing.
Well, we remember years ago in 1974 at the first Indy Super Pull when one of those Oliver 88s or a make similar to that broken half off the line as well. Here we come now. Jim Acton, dust devil, good-looking tractor. Tires are really turning. Beautiful run as he begins to, he's sliding to the right,
Just wants to pull every one of them over to the right-hand side of the track.
And, of course, they're pulling a lot of weight behind him, and that sled sometimes maneuvers the tractor one way or the other. Jim Acton, 204.9. All right, now here's a guy that I guess if I was going to put a couple of quarters on the pull that I might take a chance with because he really has made super runs in the past, extremely consistent. Dave Chrisman, the farmer from just south of Indianapolis at Edinburgh, Indiana, with an AC 180. And here again, as you said earlier, the 180 is balanced just right for this 5,000 pound class.
And I'll tell you, Dave, of all the 180s in this class, Dave Chrisman probably makes as much power as anybody out there.
And it may look the best as well. Here he's got problems. He raises his hands.
Might be a turbocharger problem or something. He'll back up and wind her up a little harder. Maybe it'll come out the second time.
Mike, let me ask you this. While they're motioning for him to go back to the starting line, with the smoke tube on there and the exhaust system, do you feel that there is any resistance to that smoke getting out of there, which may back up in the motor at all? Would that hurt?
Yes, it would, with all the extra plumbing and so forth that's on the tractor to connect it to the smoke machine. And also, the driver can't hear the engine. As he starts winding the engine up and the turbos start coming alive, you really can't hear that. And that's how a lot of the drivers bring these tractors out of the hole. They hear the engine when it comes up to full power.
All right, Dave Chrisman now with his second chance. This is the one that counts. He's got to make it a good one, or he could be looking at the bottom of the class. Here he comes, Dave Chrisman, the farmer from southern Indiana, and same problem as before. Evidently, a turbo is out.
That's too bad. I'm sure the other pullers in the class are relieved, but I'd like to see Dave. He'd be right in there if that tractor run the way it normally does.
The final distance, 45.3 feet. All righty, here we go now. Harold Volland out of Columbus, Indiana, just about 40 miles south of Indianapolis. Oliver 88, and this was a very popular tractor in the early 50s, Mike.
Yes, it was, Dave. This is another one of the alcohol burners in the class. Harold and his partner Dennis Lucas have been pulling these tractors for as long as I can remember.
Now, Mike, we notice there's grooves in the tire there. Is this something extra special that they do to get better traction?
Every puller has his idea of the kind of cut he wants on these tires, what makes the tires bite into the track and keep the tractor going straight. And this is just something that this team tries.
What would a tractor like this, when it came from the factory, have in the way of horsepower?
Oh, gee, many Christmas, Dave. That tractor's older than I am. I suppose maybe 50, 60 horsepower.
What would he be cranking out now?
Oh, 700, 800, I suppose.
Oh, my word. Tremendous feat when they can build that kind of horsepower out of that size of an engine. Harold Volland on the Columbus, Indiana, the distance 194.5. Randy Reitz backing up to the sled right now. Randy from Princeton, Wisconsin, with an International 460. You see Dennis Brabeck being pulled back out onto the track after doing a lot of work back in the pits. This is going to be quite a story developing, I do believe, here near the end of the class. All right. Randy Reitz now getting ready, and J.J. Blum of the NTPA flagging staff down on the line. Green light is on the sled. Old Ironsides, Dave Hager up in the control seat. Here we come now, Randy Reitz. And you can see there's smoke coming out. He's past the 75-foot mark. And that's going to be it. They won't give him another chance because he went by 75 feet. The final distance, 101.8. Mike, I don't know what happened, but nothing locked up.
It looks like maybe the first time through when they were running on the other sled, Dave, he may have burned a piston or something because there was a lot of blow-by coming out the bottom of the engine.
Here we get another look at it. You see a lot of white smoke coming out from underneath. And it looks like he's got internal motor problems, not building enough horsepower to get locked up into the rear end and turn the tires.
Yeah, that's a real shame when they have to start a class over like that because it's really hard on the equipment.
Here comes Mike Cavanaugh now from Kaukauna, Wisconsin in Badgerland with an AC 180. And Mike, I'm looking down the lineup here. We've had, it looks like more AC 180s than anything else in the class.
Well, they're a pretty popular tractor in this class, Dave. They're lightweight and they have a good engine in them. You can make a lot of horsepower.
Oh, he's on it. Look at this one. A good straight run going. He's got a shot at beating McKillop. He's coming close. Some smoke coming out of the motor. The distance, 2:21 7. He looks like he's going to lose by about 4 to 5 inches to Dwayne McKillop. But we've still got one to go, I do believe, and that's going to be Dennis Brabeck. All right, here we go now. Dennis Brabeck, the old pro in the seat, and he is getting a reprieve today, Mike. Tell us the problems they had at the beginning of the first start, and then what he had to do back in the pit area.
Well, Dennis was originally the test puller in the class, and if you remember, his tractor wouldn't run, and they weren't quite sure what the problem was. They went back in the pit area and kind of figured that was it for the day. When the sled broke and they started the class over, they took the hood off the tractor and really started tearing into things, found out the bottom turbocharger, the hardest one to change, was bad. They had enough time to get it changed, and he got back in as the last competitor in the class.
Truly a remarkable story, something we'd see at the Indy 500 with a quick pit stop, and normally not in pulling where it takes a long time to change a turbo, especially the bottom one. They skin a lot of knuckles, and to do this in about a half hour to 45 minutes is no small feat. Here we go now, about a 6-time NTPA national champion, the 5,000-pound super stock, the last guy to run. Here he comes, here he comes. Dennis Brabeck going for the flag. He's going to come up a little short, but not a bad run at all. 2:19 3. The Brabeck brothers take third place in the 5,500-pound super stock. A tremendous effort just to get back to the line, and then to finish in third place really makes their whole day. Now in the 5,500-pound super stock, Dwayne McKillop finishes number 1 out of Wabash, Indiana with an AC 180 at 2:22 1. Just behind him by a couple of inches, Mike Cavanaugh out of Kaukauna, Wisconsin, with an AC 180 at 2:21 7. Number 3, Dennis Brabeck, Lorenz, Iowa, AC 180 at 2:19 3. Number 4, Tommy Ermson out of Bakerstown, Pennsylvania, IH 460 at 2:12 9. And Jim Acton finishing number 5 out of Linden, Indiana, International 666 at 2:04 9. Those are the final results of the 5,500-pound super stock.